I've been doing Airbnb for 8 years now, and I'm going to tell you what my experience has been. First of all, what most people think Airbnb is not. Airbnb is not a place where you can just go and get quick money. It's not that. Because Airbnb actually takes work like any other business. However, when it first started, maybe back in 2013, 2014, that was easy money. Anything that you put on Airbnb made money. But right now, Airbnb is a lot harder. There's a lot more competition. People expect a lot more from their Airbnbs. And seeing that change over the last decade has been eye-opening. So I'm going to tell you what my experience has been. First of all, when I just got started on Airbnb, I was just a student in college. I didn't know what I was doing. I just wanted to pay rent. And so when I just started, the only thing that I wanted to do was just to break even or earn maybe $100 or $200. Now as an adult with a family to take care of and people to actually help, I need to be making as much money as possible, much profit as possible. Then what we actually did was that we started to grow into multiple cities, into multiple countries. Right now, we have a total of 17 properties across 4 states and 3 countries. And that's what we're doing right now. Right now, I'm recording this from Brazil, and my Airbnbs run almost automatically. 99% of it is automated, so I don't get phone calls most of the days. But right now, to get to this point, it wasn't always like that. So let me tell you back how it was in the beginning. The first thing is that I would tell people that if you are relying on Airbnb to make all of your money, that is a mistake. The reason why Airbnb is so powerful is because they make it so easy for hosts to get started. But that's probably misleading, because once hosts are drawn in, it can be so comfortable that you don't want to go and explore other places. Don't get me wrong. Most of your traffic and most of your bookings, most of the short-term bookings in the world are going through Airbnb. It's the largest platform. However, because Airbnb has such a dominance, they can control a lot of your business if you aren't tech savvy. So then what a lot of people have done in the last few years is they have become multi-channel and have done direct booking. So for example, getting people off VRBO, off booking.com, Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, and setting up your own personal Google site and running Facebook and Google ads when people are searching for places to stay in your area. This is very smart because that moves it from just an Airbnb business to now an accommodation business. And so then what you are doing is helping people to find places and using Airbnb as a channel. If you see it that way, then now you have a complete business. Remember, you are not just on Airbnb. That's one of the things I like about real estate. As opposed to, for example, if you are on Amazon, it wouldn't make sense to set up your own personal site because no one is going to buy on your personal site. But if you are in an Airbnb business, you don't need to be on Airbnb. It's the easiest place, but you don't need to be on Airbnb. And so then that's a really key point. Now, still Airbnb is dominant. But here's the second point that you need to understand. If you are going to protect your business for the long run, you need to make sure that you are consistently remembering that you are in a service industry. What do most people think? Okay, they're getting to real estate. They think, okay, I'm just going to put a property up. People are going to rent my place. I'm going to go off to the Maldives and sleep, and no one is ever going to call me. That's not true. That would be a long-term rental. But if you are only a landlord for long-term rentals, that's less profit. That's less money in your pocket. But at the other side, people don't expect that much from you. If you are doing an Airbnb short midterm business where people are renting from you for a few days to a few months, there's a little bit more customer service that comes into play. Then if you are really good with connecting with people, if you are really good with talking, if you are really good with selling and getting people to feel comfortable, that's what you have to remember about this business, because people want to feel like they're paying for an experience. No one wants to feel like they're just giving you money and you're just getting a place to stay. That's not necessarily true. You have to remember that you are dealing with people in this business. And as long as you can remember that, then you're going to be talking to people every day. That's what makes you successful in this business. Sometimes it's as simple as calling people by their name, picking up your phone, giving them a phone call whenever they book your place. These are small things that you can do to make sure that people aren't just booking a place to stay and they're getting a company type of vibe. No, the benefit of booking on Airbnb is that you have that personality with your host. And so then if you lose that, then you just become a hotel. And for most people, if they wanted a hotel experience, then they would go book a hotel. But they're not paying for that. What they're actually paying for is for you to be as personable as possible. The last thing I will tell you about Airbnb. This has changed significantly since I first started. Way back when, there was a lot less competition. And so when you first started, perhaps price wasn't so important because there was not a lot of competition. But today, Airbnb has become very, very price sensitive. What does that mean? It means if someone is looking for a place that's $100 a night and your place is $110, your place might not get booked. Or it may get booked last minute at $90 because you're scared to drop your prices earlier. That means studying price strategy has become so important on Airbnb. Now, in my community, we talk about price strategy pretty seriously. And in fact, I actually run through price strategy with my students where we open up their screen, they share their screen with me, and I make sure that their prices are optimized for what they're doing in the short to long term. That's what I do with my students. Now, that's a very unique skill that's not just putting a property up. So then afterwards, when you are setting the right price, your price is supposed to maximize your revenue, but not changing your price and not understanding price strategy perhaps might leave thousands of dollars on the table. And in a business where the margins are pretty intense and there's lots of competition, those extra $1,000 could be the difference between profit and, well, losing your, for lack of a better word. But if you understand price strategy, you're going to be successful. One of the last things I will tell you is that if you think something can go wrong with your Airbnb, it will. And I didn't understand this when I first started. But if you have furniture that can break, promise you, it will break. If you have house rules that can be broken, promise you, it will be broken. If your locks can be broken, they will be broken. If your curtains can get stained, they will be stained. If your place can fit more than 4 people, they will probably take more than 4 people. And every single house rule, people are going to bring service animals that aren't really service animals. People are going to bring all type of things. There's no smoking. People are going to smoke in your place. There are steps that you can take to prevent this, such as pricing strategy, such as setting your rules clearly, such as having certain things in place before they even book. But everything that can be broken in your house will be broken. And then you need to accommodate for that. One of the things that we do is that we understand before and after every reservation, we take pictures and video of the place to make sure that if anything is broken, we have proof that it was not broken before and that it was broken after. However, if you don't do that, you may be replacing things quite often. Now, whether or not you want to go after a guest for just staining a towel, that's up to you. Sometimes we don't. However, understand that you are in a business where people break stuff. And so then if you are running your business with the hopes that everything runs perfectly, that's not going to work. But understanding that this is a real business with a real profit potential, accounting for costs and risks will make a big difference. But if you understand that, you'll be totally fine. Last thing. I said that about the last thing, didn't I? Okay, this is the last thing for sure. The last thing I learned in my 8 years of doing Airbnb is that this business can be run from anywhere in the world. The numbers may differ. However, Airbnb is one of the most powerful businesses to start because everywhere you go in the world, there is some type of Airbnb that can be done. Even if they ban Airbnb, the promise and the model of Airbnb will still exist. there are people still going for tourism. What they will probably do is that they will put, for example, in France right now, they're trying to block Airbnb. In Portugal, they did. But what they will try to do is to put regulation in place to try to collect taxes or try to get licenses from people so that they can limit the amount of Airbnbs that they have. However, if they do that, they're not going to necessarily block Airbnb, they're just going to make it harder, which means that it's still possible for you to go and do this. In Mexico, in Costa Rica, in Brazil, these places are actually growing. New Zealand, Australia, these places are actually growing right now. And there are cities in the US that still have not been touched, that have so much potential for Airbnb. They're still out there. And so then if you're traveling and you set up an Airbnb to the places that you travel to, that makes this a business that you can run from anywhere in the world, especially if you're going to countries where the cost of labor is lower, which is a really key thing for your business because, of course, you always need to pay cleaners to clean your places for you. So, with all of that said, what are the good sides of Airbnb? One, Airbnb makes a lot of money. It really does. And it's one of the most consistent ways in real estate to protect your asset and get cash flow today. What I will tell you is that more people today, more than ever, are switching to longer term rentals, not off Airbnb, but they're switching to mid-term rentals like 3-month stays, 6-month stays, 9-month stays. These are becoming more popular rather than 2-day or 3-night stays, right? Reason why, you can think that someone that's there for 9 months is probably less likely to throw a party, probably less likely to trash the place, probably less likely to break the house rules because they're going to have to deal with you for a couple of weeks. And they're probably going to clean the place after themselves because if they leave it dirty, then they're going to have to live in somewhere that's dirty for 9 months. That's not good. But for some people who are traveling to a place, they don't want to stay in a hotel for 9 months. That sucks. And they don't want to stay in a hostel for 9 months. That sucks. But Airbnb is a solution because if you're not staying in a hotel, an apartment or a studio apartment gives you a place with a kitchen, privacy, and Netflix that isn't a hotel room, but you get to be in a home style place for those 9 months that isn't available on Marriott. So Airbnb will always have that place. I think that's a really cool direction to move in, and I love it. Another really good direction to move in is renting by the room. As house prices become more expensive, people want to cohabit and co-live with each other because instead of finding an entire unit for $4,000 and then finding roommates, they'll just find a private room with a private bath or a shared bath and then pay maybe $900 or $1,000 for the same place, live in the same area, and the place is being taken care of by somebody else. So they don't have to worry about security, about utilities, about anything else, about cleaning the kitchen even, because someone else takes care of that. That's a really cool way to live. And so if that's something that you're interested in, then you might like this next video because I promise you, there's tons of stuff that I have in this playlist right here. I'll see you next week.